talking about our differences. The difference between a man and a woman is always really interesting. I don't know. It seems to me that when I initiate this conversation, your blood's kind of boiled a little bit.
No. It's the question of the centuries. It's not why are we so different. It's why are you so different?
Yeah, just the other day she told me, you are you and I am me. Like we are like really different. So
we're complementary though.
Complementary, yeah. So why these differences? Why did God make us different? I think you're the marriage expert, right?
I am.
Yeah.
I think that we complement each other. I think couples are attracted to opposites. Like I wouldn't want to marry somebody like me. I'd want to marry somebody like you.
Today, you will hear a little bit about from us, but also these great couples who are just really talking about that in real world language about what it means to be different people.
And I think these are also intentional conversations. The 5 love languages. I bought you the book. Did you read it?
Yes.
Okay, good. But that book, it's a bestseller. It's an international bestseller, the 5 love languages. And it really helps us to understand the way that our spouse receives love and gives love. So the way that Ryan receives love and gives love are different. And the way that I receive love and give love are different. We're actually completely opposite. We don't have any of the same love languages in the giving or receiving.
You may have not even thought about it, or maybe you thought about this sort of on your own and kind of privately in your own mind, but it is an important topic because God is sharing with us a great mystery that he really wants us to enter into with some authenticity and some trust and some honesty and integrity. And so as you'll see very soon how these 4 couples, these different phases that they are in marriage, how they'll share and speak about those love languages and also these differences. We're so looking forward to hearing them very soon.
Never separated you and me. Broken made whole. Broken made whole.
And in the book of Genesis, we talk about God creating man and woman in his image. It is in their complementarity that we image him, not just man by itself or woman by itself. This somehow is in the coming of these two together is when we really image God.
It helps us to remember that you're loving someone else, you're not loving yourself. So I need to love in a way that Samuel knows that I love him, and when he loves me, it's like, well, this is how Megan receives and gives love. So it's kind of like, you're feeding off of each other, and so you're loving them in a way that they know that they're loved by you.
His love language is gift giving. That's nowhere on my radar. So I have to grow so that I can love him. I have to grow in the way that he needs to be loved.
It's something that it's good to learn someone else's love language because you see the response is different, and it's been helpful. And even the way I give, I've had to change it and adapt. And I'm not changing it to the point where I'm different. I'm just giving more, especially when she has a bad day, when something's wrong. I know the quick pick me up.
My love language is quality time. So anytime he would take time to sit with me, talk with me, have a glass of wine with me, those kind of things, special time with me.
Morning prayer and evening prayer, we've been pretty committed to doing that, and that's a time I feel like we connect. And I mentioned it's subtle, but I really feel those graces of us just being committed to doing that together.
men and women are so different. And one of the things I think that makes us even more different is kind of the different ways we give and receive affection, the different love languages that we have. And there's a wonderful book by Dr. Chapman, and he talks about the 5 love languages. And it's one of the best-selling books of all time. And I think I was telling Ryan the other day, I think that it's because wives buy the book for their husbands.
Yeah, and these 5 languages, which we'll introduce in just a second, get very real, because just the other day, Mary-Rose was highlighting to me that you are you and I am me, and sometimes you have things that you prefer, and sometimes, remember that conversation?
Yes, I do.
So, but it is very relevant. Yeah, these 5 love languages are physical touch, right? Words of affirmation, quality time. Help me out, Deacon.
Service.
Acts of service, and gifts.
And gifts. Yeah.
Yes, and it's funny, the one that you could remember was your love language, which is acts of service.
Yes, I love service.
But how have these love languages kind of played out in your marriage, and just the ways that you've discovered that the other needs to receive or that you need to give affirmation?
It was very insightful whenever we took the little workshop on it, and very hopeful, because it made us realize that what we might think is an act of love for my spouse is being not received as such, because I am not speaking her language. So in my case, for example, my dominant act of love language is words of affirmation and gift. For her is act of service. And what's the other one? She's really good at affirming me.
Because it's my love language.
Because it's her love language. I'm not as good as her, but I could be, if I go to the store and buy some milk, and I see something, let me just get these flowers or this little thing or whatever. And I come home and she really appreciates it. I could throw her world upside down if I just say, let me do the dishes right here, right now.
I love acts of service.
I think this is the fun and the funny part of being married, being so opposite.
Yeah.
Definitely, if my love language would be acts of service, Glenn would speak it the most beautifully out of anyone in the whole world. And I have friends that are so jealous because he speaks that love language perfectly.
But that's not her love language.
It's not my love language. I appreciate all of the acts of service, but my love language is quality time. So anytime he would take time to sit with me, talk with me, have a glass of wine with me, those kind of things, special time with me, that just
and me being service oriented, it's like, I always got to be doing, mm-hmm. and so it's out of my, I guess, comfort zone to sit and just be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, our differences, and looking back, we can laugh about it now, somewhat.
And Glenn's love language is physical touch and words of affirmation. I grew up in a home where words of affirmation never happened. And so this is a foreign language to me. So I have got to make mental notes of how to say, make sure on a daily basis I'm saying things to him to show him how much I appreciate him.
Understanding the difference between man and woman is something that is constantly ongoing. And you kind of get more numb to it as time goes on. At first, it was a constant fight. We were just like always shocking each other like, wow, okay, you really are different and you think like an idiot. Like why would you think like that? We've had many conversations like this. And the shock of it goes away, but it still stays there. We always are constantly surprising each other of how different we think, and it's beautiful. It's refreshing because it's like, okay, wait, no, she doesn't think like me. I have to go about this in a different way. And it's good, it's rewarding, satisfying.
Challenging.
Yes.
Yeah, one thing that is just very interesting is this, he's very big on like justice and like just this big sense of just it needs to be a certain way. And I don't know, I guess that seems to me like a very manly trait is that things just like a fatherly type kind of, I don't know, like gaze over things that it needs to be like this. And then me, it's more just like, oh no, it doesn't, like if it hurts that person or, it's more of an emotional response where as from him, it's just very precise.
This is the way it's going to be done.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And what have you learned from each other, just like the way that each of you maybe give love or receive love? How has that kind of evolved, and how have you begun to understand the other in a better way?
Yeah, it's definitely changed how I give love. Definitely my family even. It's not huge on words of affirmation. That's not something that I know how to give. And can anyone guess what her main love language is?
Don't tell me. Is it words of affirmation?
Yeah.
Oh.
Absolutely words of affirmation, and I suck at it. It's really difficult, but I've learned to get better, and I've learned how far it goes.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's good to learn someone else's love language because you see the response is different, and it's been helpful.
Well, I think that in this journey, in our engagement, I learned that definitely men and women are different. Definitely. I think communication is key. It's so important. And I think you learn so much about yourself, and you learn a lot about the other person, and you learn about just, because you're learning about another person, you're learning what they mean when they say what, or when they don't say anything, they really are not thinking of anything at all, And so I think it really, like, especially whenever you have a very close relationship with someone, you really learn like the difference. And I think something I learned early on was just how I guess we show and receive love differently. Like, I am such a words person. I love to tell people that I love them, and Samuel does too. Like, he loves me, but but he's more of like, he prefers to show that he loves someone because, words may not matter as much to him, because when you show someone you love them, you really can see it. So I think that has been important for us because it helps us to remember that you're loving someone else. You're not loving yourself. So I need to love in a way that Samuel knows that I love him. And when he loves me, it's like, well, this is how Megan receives and gives love. So it's kind of like, you're feeding off of each other. And so you're loving them in a way that they know that they're loved by you.
Why do you think God, though, really kind of created this sometimes crazy design that we're so different? Have kind of this different. What's your perspective on that?
I think it goes back to the beginning. When in the book of Genesis we talk about God creating man and woman in His image. It is in their complementarity that we image Him, not just man by itself or woman by itself. This somehow is in the coming of these two together is when we really image God. And so I think those differences are in a way tools for us to grow. Those differences perhaps create challenges on me or on her, and it's an opportunity to grow from individuals into a unit of couples. I don't know.
I think it's brilliant, really, because my strengths are his weaknesses, and his weaknesses are my strengths. And then when you bring those two together, we're better, we're stronger together than we are individually. So I think God's idea of complementarity was, he really knew what he was talking about. And it does make me grow because his love language is gift giving. That's nowhere on my radar. So I have to grow so that I can love him. I have to grow in the way that he needs to be loved. So although it doesn't come naturally for me, I have to say, what is loving, what would he really appreciate would be that little gift. He's not impressed when I mop the floor. You know, that does not shout, I love you, honey. I'm like, but I'm mopping the floor for you. And that's not the way it goes. So it really draws me out of myself so that I can love him the way he needs to be loved, the way he was designed to receive love.
Love is a decision, and just making that decision. Okay, I don't feel like doing this, but they need this, so I'm gonna do this. I'm going to, go get a glass of wine and let's just go sit. Even though in my head I got, all these things I need to be doing, but she needs this, so I'm gonna take this time.
Yes. And yeah, looking for ways where you can anticipate the other's needs.
When I've been living by myself for a long time, and doing everything by myself, like independent. Since I was living with my family, when then I changed country, and I was doing everything on my own. And then I met Megan, and she wants, we have to share this one. And it's not just a friend, I have friends that I've been sharing my life. And then one day I fell in love, and then I started dating. And I dated a different person. And it's not a man friend, it's a girlfriend, And this is a really challenge to love, because like she said, start knowing myself, And when I start dating with Megan, and girl, on the way that she looks at the stuffs, how she looks at the life, the love, how she received the love, and there's something that I don't normally do, and they show me that I can do things differently.
And I think that echoing what he's saying, how important it is to share, because like he said, he made an important point that, being independent or kind of being on your own and then starting to share your life with someone, you definitely have to, there is a change. You do kind of adjust your life. And I think it points to the fact that love is not about me. Love is about really the other person. And so when you have that mindset, it's like, well, how have I loved Samuel today? How can I show him that I love him today in a way that he understands?
It's spending time with your spouse, spending time with your children, spending time with God. Those are probably the only things that at the end of your life you would absolutely 100% of the time know, if there's a space of time, this is what I choose.
And despite those differences, do you ever feel like there's maybe one moment on a regular basis that in each day that you feel like those differences come together and you kind of connect, Sometimes people say we have coffee at a certain time, or we pray, or we walk. Is there on a regular basis, do you feel like you just feel more connected in some practical way,
Oh, I mentioned earlier that doing Liturgy of the Hours together, both morning prayer and evening prayer, we've been pretty committed to doing that, and that's a time I feel like we connect. And I mentioned it's subtle, but I really feel those graces of us just being committed to doing that together.
And even though we've always prayed together, I think it's the scheduled time. And that's not always available. You're not always going to have that throughout your marriage in a lifetime. But where we are right now, having that scheduled time morning and evening has been great. So even in the midst of having many children at home, maybe, I think it's important to have that scheduled time. Some people do like a 10-minute couch time, and all the kids know that this is mom and dad's 10-minute couch time where they can just connect and talk and come together. Yeah, and we just love one another, and that just knowing that he loves me and I love him, that despite our differences, it's all good. We've learned to love the differences, really.
remember years ago, Father Jerome Fry, who founded our religious community, meeting with a lot of couples, and he was a great marriage counselor, and he was able to really reconcile a lot of marriages. One time he came to me in recreation, and he says, Father Mike, he says, I just can't believe how stupid men are about women. And he had never been married, but he knew so much about women from his pastoral work. St. John Paul, in his great theology of the body, knows so much about women, and yet he was never married. And we can have couples sometimes married 30, 40 years and are blindsided about their differences. They assume everybody sees reality as they do. And of course, there's differences between men. We judge according to our dispositions, but the dispositions of men and women are very different. And so, not to be a consternation, to be in strife, it is in strife because what happens is after the fall, some of it which should be complementarity, mutual support, ends up becoming a point of contention. And so it's difficult at times for men and women to get along because of differences. However, God stamped these differences in there because there's a difference in the Trinity. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The only difference between God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit is this, is the relationship. And so there's a complementarity when God creates man, male and female, in his own image, and he puts them together so that they might become one flesh and build this consortium of love to be a mirror of the Trinity. There's differences. Differences attract us. So a man sees in a woman what he doesn't have, and he's attracted to it. And she sees in him what she doesn't have and needs, and is attracted to it. And so that's complementarity. Mother Teresa used to say, what I can do, you can't do. Well, thank you, Mother Teresa, for saying that, because I didn't want to have to do everything she's doing. Then she said something very beautiful. What you can do, Mother Teresa says, I can't do. Wow, I didn't know that. I mean, I can do things that Mother Teresa can't do. But together we can do something beautiful for God. And so this is very important, that there's no femininity in God. There's no masculine. The perfection of being masculine is in God. The perfection of being feminine is in God. And so neither one of the sexes exhausts who God is, but they mirror who God is. See, men, we like to do things. We're very exterior. And so men do that, and it's a love language of men. Well, women need to understand. We see that beautifully with Mary and Joseph. Joseph is supported by Mary, I'm sure felt like a failure not being able to provide better for Mary and baby Jesus in this cave. And yet you can see Mary, oh, this is awesome. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, God, for providing me such a wonderful man to take care of me. And that eases the pain of a man who suffers from pride and feels like a failure when he can't provide better. Sometimes women don't understand this, but by understanding it, they can, ease that, and that can become a great deal of solace in a relationship. So yes, men and women are different, but together they can do something beautiful for God.
It's probably quite obvious by now that all of the couples who you heard from today, us as well, there are great differences. There are differences that are not meant to make us depressed, but it's a difference that really shines the light on the gift of complementarity.
Together, we reflect God. In God's image, He made them male and female. And so while there's been a lot of laughter and a lot of smiles and in these conversations about the difference between men and women, when you bring men and women together, they're so complementary. They are such a beautiful reflection of God. And so the important aspect of that, though, is to understand the differences, understand how we complement each other, understand how we can support each other, to know in advance what is it that your spouse needs. So go ask them, what do you need if you're having a bad day? What do you need from me as your spouse to help shore you up?
But I think you really should take some time to discern and understand what your spouse's love languages are, to understand your own love languages and have a conversation about that. It's amazing that you can go through so many years with missed opportunities. But to really look at that and understand each other really is to dive into a mystery that God is giving you particular eyes into.
Are you searching for answers? Discover your true identity. Stay tuned to Shalom World.